Graham, would you like to try some pot? You mean marijuana? Yes. Okay, I guess. I was ready. I already knew how to roll cigarettes. Well, I was in a radical leftist university that was counterculture all the way. Why not break the law a little bit? Well, I want to tell you that the greatest thrill was in breaking the law because the marijuana back in 1962 wasn't very strong. But anyhow, I was initiated. In 1964, I joined the Army Reserves, Weekend Warriors. And popular music was already singing about drugs. The Beatles, Bob Dylan, the Grateful Dead. So people were talking about them. And, Graham, do you know anything about them? Well, it turned out that I did, and I lived in Berkeley, and I knew how to get them. Oh, they all wanted to try. So they did. And 2 years later, everybody was smoking. It had changed people's lives. My friend Ed Kinney went from being a banker married to a debutante to a taxi driver talking about the prostitutes in West Oakland. My friend Braxton Kinney had gone from being a warehouseman, rising through the ranks, to buying a microbus and driving through Afghanistan, buying hashish to import to Europe. He still tells stories about that. He's lucky to be alive. We had a lot of interesting experiences together. Ed Kinney, aforementioned, rented a room in the same house where I lived, and we sometimes smoked marijuana together. On one occasion, I was leaning back on his floor, smoking a cigarette, smoking marijuana like that, and he said, "Graham, what are you doing?" I looked at my arm as if it belonged to somebody else and said, "Oh, tuna fishing," which made no sense at all. It was absurd, but marijuana makes you absurd and makes you forget what you're doing in life. And one time, 4 of us took some LSD. As we were driving across the San Francisco Bay, we took pills. By the time we got to the Redwoods, 100-meter tall trees going up to the sky. We were all in a somewhat different world. Wow, look at those trees. Wow, look at that. And we were laughing and having fun and really enjoying being together. And that's what drugs did. But it had a downside, which I'll get to. Now, I, almost alone among these guys, got a straight job working with computers in IBM, wearing a coat and tie. That was what we did. And in 1968, coat and tie, IBM sent me over to Vietnam to help fight the war. So I left those guys behind. In the war, it was a different story. Marijuana grows wild in Vietnam. Right across from the Navy headquarters in Da Nang, little boys sat on the curb holding cigarettes upside down and rolling them in their hands so the tobacco fell out on the street. Then they turn it right side up and pack it with marijuana. 20 cigarettes to a pack, 10 packs to a carton. You could buy the carton for $5. They sold a lot. There was a class division between the officers and the enlisted men. The officers went to the officers' club and drank too much. A couple of my worst experiences are getting home from those officers because I was driving. They didn't have cars. And oh, it was dangerous. I'm lucky to be here. The enlisted men were separate from the officers, and the officers and enlisted men had their own bunkers for protection from the Russian Katyusha rockets that the Vietnamese launched at us. And it was an unwritten rule that the officers never went into the enlisted men's bunkers. And the enlisted men's bunkers were covered on the walls with day-glow psychedelic posters, and it reeked of marijuana. That's where they went in their spare time to smoke marijuana. That was the culture in Vietnam. I got married to a Vietnamese, went to Germany, and didn't see any of the drug culture for 4 years, and then went back to the United States and started dating again. I'd gotten divorced and didn't run into marijuana very much. But my children, born in the 1980s, did. All of their schoolmates smoked marijuana. My kids had problems, but it wasn't from drugs. And that was it. But here's a twist to the story. The other people in the whole community, my high school community, my family, really got messed up by drugs. My high school girlfriend, Sue West, my first date, Nancy Wall, died of drugs. My childhood third grade sweetheart, Janice Lesin, died of methamphetamines. My two younger cousins, a decade younger, got into the drug scene in San Francisco, had 5 children by 5 different men, never married any of them. One of them, Nathan, who died in his 40s, told me the only way he knew who his father was that he wasn't black. It was a chaotic time. I met a policeman, a retired policeman, who tracked lost people, missing people. I asked him to find Braxton Holly and Edward Kinney, and he found them. I got a call in the middle of the night. "You son of a bitch, you found me." It was Edward, and he, alone among all the people I knew, came out of the drug scene okay, went back to college, became a professor, and has led a marvelous life with his second wife, Susie, just a wonderful person. He's a grandfather now. That should have happened to all of us. It happened to very few. So this will be my advice to my children. Drugs are interesting, but avoid them. There's no good to be had there, and they can kill you. A lot of people I know died. But more than that, they destroy your motivation. You lose your purpose in life. They make no sense. So kids, don't do it. Madam Toastmaster.